Well, they certainly tried with this one. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE Smackdown, as well as my WWE Fastlane 2021 predictions. I'm going to be honest, guys, this go-home show was fine, and Fastlane actually looks like it might have a couple good matches, but I really don't feel the need for there to be a March pay-per-view. They should just go from at least February. Do Elimination Chamber if you have to, and go straight to WrestleMania, because by God, the road to WrestleMania has not been all that good. Now, it may end up being a good two-night event because it's too big for one night, but the build so far, outside of a couple matches, has not been very good. So, the women are suddenly arguing. Bianca and Sasha are just arguing backstage. I'm shocked that they didn't say this is sponsored by Progressive Match Flow, because Match Flow, do you get it? They always use that whenever they talk about the women's matches, because flow, the subtlety, is not lost on anybody. So, Nia's superior immune system with Shayna Baszler took on Sasha Banks for the Women's Championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship, that is. They have so many championships, sometimes it's hard to keep track of. I want to say right now that also Nia should not be in any kind of championship picture, tag team or otherwise, because she's so goddamn careless. Does she not give a shit about even trying to not drop people on their goddamn heads? I get that she's bigger than a lot of the other women, but you can be that way and still not be so goddamn careless and so goddamn bad in the fucking ring that you have to have your much smaller opponent herniate every disc in her goddamn back to try and carry you, and that's what happened here. Bianca does come down. We get whipping sounds, during a match featuring a bunch of minority women, so it's a Fox mandate. And during, a whole thing where Bianca chases Shayna into the ring, the referee's like, hey, Bianca, you're the second person. I need to be distracted by you. And then Shayna goes to kick Sasha and ends up kicking Nia. Now, it wasn't quite as bad as Lex Luger punching out Ric Flair at Uncensored 96, but it was almost as bad. Though at least Shayna isn't nearly as inept in the ring as Lex Luger was. So then we get a jackknife cover 1, 2, 3. So at least Sasha retains. And then it was what it was. Edge then cuts a look, Sasha deserves better than this. I'm not even Sasha's biggest fan. She deserved better than this. But just do not give Nia Jax any kind of championship, run after this. Drop the tag titles at Mania, because I don't think they're going to be dropped at Fastlane, and just push her further down the card or out of the goddamn company, because she isn't beneficial to anybody. She isn't beneficial in the men's division, and she ain't beneficial to the women's division. She's a goddamn hazard. Edge mentioned that he had to relinquish a championship on SmackDown 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, and then he retired on SmackDown. Technically, he retired on Raw. Well, he announced that he would have to retire. But, I guess, playing around with the words. But still, maybe just say I had to retire on Raw, but I had to relinquish the championship on SmackDown. Anyway, he says, it just felt right to insert myself in the middle of Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns while somebody gets head at the table. I'm just going to pervert that line like I always do. And then we get highlights of Hogan and Edge winning the tag titles. Okay, Hogan and Titus hosting WrestleMania, that is. Let me say right now about Hulk Hogan hosting WrestleMania with a black man, Titus O'Neil, who has done very good work for, various charities around, Tampa Bay, Orlando, a lot of areas. He is really, really good. He's done a really, great amount of charity work because he seems like a genuinely good guy. I'm going to say that if Hogan, all those years ago, had apologized and said, yes, I have been racist. I am going to change how I am. I'm going to change how I feel. I'm going to take courses. I'm going to give money to the proper people, and if people don't want to forgive me, that's fine, but I'm going to make this right. I'm going to change how I was, and I'm going to change who I am. Fine. I could have accepted that, and I think a lot of other people could have accepted that. That isn't what he fucking did. Hogan apologized, or didn't apologize for, what he said. He apologized for getting caught. So no, fuck the fact that Hulk Hogan gets to host WrestleMania. I hope he gets booed out of the goddamn building. He won't, because some fans are willing to forgive everything. And this ain't about cancel culture. This is about Hulk Hogan not apologizing for being caught saying these words, these hateful words, this hateful rhetoric, and getting chance after chance to be in WWE because they're trying to rehab his image, even though a lot of people have made up their mind. I can respect what Hogan did for wrestling years and years ago, but he did more to poison it in later years, and being a fucking racist, no, disqualifies him from getting my goddamn respect. So that's all I gotta say right there. So I hope Titus just takes over everything, and man, I think Hogan is really going to have to resist calling Titus a whole bunch of words and a whole bunch of other people other words, because a leopard never changes his spots, and a racist never changes his goddamn hood. Probably because, it smells like, some kind of funky, moldy cheese. And boy, I bet Hogan's got a lot of skeletons in his closet that are going to come out. But anyway, yeah, Hogan shouldn't fucking be hosting Mania. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. So, Rollins stays making questionable outfit choices. Oh, and also Shayna's going to kick Bianca's head off tonight. She said that while trying to basically look, all meek compared to Nia Jax, even though she could beat Nia Jax's ass really goddamn quickly, which is a big task, to beat up Nia Jax's ass. That's a big ass to beat up. And it reminds me of the Bender line. Boy, that lady's got a huge ass. That could be anybody's voice, fat ass. I don't know why that made me laugh. Anyway, Rollins making his questionable fashion choices, and Cesaro is his next target. We get highlights of the package where, he stomped Cesaro. This is obviously going to be the Mania match. And he was reaching around for the brass ring. Not like the Sonic ring at AEW Revolution. I will not get over how goofy that looked. And then here's Nakamura. Remember when people said that Nakamura was going to be featured better after having that great performance, that great run in that gauntlet match? Oh, no, he wasn't. I really was hoping, actually, I'd be wrong about that, but he wasn't. He's basically just what he is. I respect Nakamura. I'm not saying he will ever be WWE champion. I very much doubt he will ever be WWE champion. I'd be stunned. But he's still really good in the ring, and when motivated, he's actually pretty damn good. He ends up kicking Rollins. Okay, another little brief rant here. Fox Area Nation was some guy that looks like he was made out of Play-Doh, so pretty much everybody on Fox Area Nation News talks about cancel culture. What about Tyrus? What about that, former wrestler, the former Bros Clay, who has open sexual harassment allegations against him? This is going to be part of NWA Back for the Attack. I'm debating even ordering that pay-per-view because I like a lot of the roster there. But yeah, they're going to feature a man and talk about, cancel culture. Oh, they're canceling Dr. Seuss. They're canceling a whole bunch of stuff, Peter Pan and all that. But, I'm going to talk about cancel culture. Why don't you talk about the fact you all got, your goddamn heads up your asses and you're all goddamn racist pieces of shit, and whether you have different views or not. And I'm not even saying that some of this stuff and the cancel culture stuff ain't going too far. I get some things happening, and I get other things, being a bit too much. But maybe Fox News, with all the shit that they got going on, probably shouldn't be talking about, taking the high moral ground. Because you guys are going to be burning in hell for all the fucking shit that you did and the fact that you're all pieces of shit and probably supported the insurrection. If you supported the insurrection in any way, shape, or form, get the fuck off my goddamn channel. It is not about having different views. It's about being a proper human being. And if you support that shit, you're not a proper human being. And neither is Tyrus. He shouldn't be allowed in wrestling again. And I don't care if you are, on the right, the center, the left side. I don't care. You don't harass somebody regardless of what gender they are and whether they're a insane adult or whether you're like some wrestlers and you harass teenagers or children. You shouldn't be fucking doing that, and you shouldn't be allowed in civilized society. You should be goddamn jailed. Hopefully I was hoping the NWA rather would remove him. They're not. So I'm really weighing my options about supporting the great talents there and maybe just ranting heavily about Tyrus again. Anyway, so Ziggler and Rude are on commentary for this upcoming tag match. One of two upcoming tag matches because they had nothing for this goddamn show. Cole, you have all those notes and you can't read one of them right. Reminder that Michael Cole is so goddamn bad at his job, and when he is gone from commentary, everything will be better. And I would pay, an extra $5 a week to just get a feed without commentary because Corey Graves ain't much goddamn better. I mean, as stupid as he is and talking about, all the sun shining and the air is fresh and everything. Yeah, Corey, you're goddamn lucky that the company gave you that job because after you got your whittle brain hurt and everything and you abandoned your wife and children to go have a younger and much more crispier version of, a significant other, you probably shouldn't be talking to other people about what, how they can have their eyes open and see the good in life. There's good in life, but Corey, you ain't providing that, you fucking idiot. So, Ziggler and Rude on commentary, Street Profits versus Ray and Dominic. The match wasn't much of anything, and Dominic pinned Angelo, which was like, okay, great, they're doing this. And then Otis and Gable show up, and it's a melee. This show, good God, this show is what I wrote down. The tag division's a goddamn mess. It's a mess on Raw. It ain't much better on NXT, and it's non-existent on NXT UK outside of like 2 teams because they just don't have the depth. It's a shame that we can't just maybe have a tag title, go between NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Oh, wait, they were going to do that with the Women's Tag Team Championships, and they decided not to do that and create NXT Women's Tag titles just for that brand, because why not? Yeah, anyway, Ziggler is shoving and shoehorning the Oral Roberts references in. Ziggler, your comedy fails miserably. The Profits joined commentary, and they're a little bit more serious. They're not yelling as much, so they were more tolerable, barely. And Otis and Gable took on Ray and Dominic, and, well, they just decided to, basically, they decided to have Otis and Gable win, which fine, so now we're going to get a four-way at Mania, and it's likely going to be on the pre-show. Because honestly, Dominic should be on the pre-show. Now, he has improved, but he is way far away from being on the main show. So, yeah, by the way, Otis splashed Dominic, so at least the right guy took the pin. So, Zayn, once Owens in his documentary, Owens says, well, he's thinking about it. And wait, Logan Paul, is considering looking at the thing. Great, let's bring another toxic piece of shit. The whole Japanese forest thing that he did. Oh, but he learned. But you don't film something like that, you fucking idiots. Both Paul brothers are goddamn morons. And the fact that they are considered celebrities is fucking horseshit. Anyway, here's Brian to talk about Fastlane and how Edge, wants to face Roman, but he says he doesn't want to face me. He says that he thinks he can beat Roman. I know I can beat Roman. And then here's Reigns. He wants to, he wants to basically tap out. He won't tap out to somebody like him. He'd rather die. That's a bit dark. Brian then says, everybody thinks they're untap-outable. That is not how words work. And it's the least intimidating match in SmackDown history between Zayn and Corbin, and there we go from there. There's really not all that much to say. People thought that I made the video package. I don't actually hate Sami Zayn. I don't even hate Baron Corbin. I find him boring. He's crisp, smooth, and safe in the ring. I just find his character boring. But I did kind of like how they did the video package stuff. That was pretty cool. It's like everybody's mean tweets got put into one video package. I believe my friend, in Arizona, Catwoman13 said that, and you are correct. So, yeah, the Logan Paul reference. You don't bring him on TV or you deserve every bit of bad ridicule that you get. Owens joins commentary for Corbin versus Zayn. Wasn't much, and Zayn was checking the turnbuckle for something, but got hit with the end of days 1, 2, 3. Now he's yelling at Owens and hits him with the haluva kick. And we're going to get that match in Mania. Big E and Apollo have a sit-down promo where they're supposed to be via satellite. No, they're in the vast Tropicana field because that's where the Thunderdome is. It's going somewhere. I think the Yuletide Center is what it is, or something or other. So they yell at each other. Apollo sounded much more Irish than he did Nigerian, but then again, doing an accent like that, whether you have heritage or not, could be difficult. And he said, if you swallow a razor, you're going to be spitting up blood. Hey, yo. And then they're building this feud. It was fine, actually. It was fine. Big E seemed fired up, almost a bit comical, though. And then the Irish part of Apollo's accent just threw me off. And then Big E got in a golf cart, a branded golf cart, and then chased him down. They had a bit of a brawl. Then Apollo steals the golf cart, and nobody's around to get Big E's golf cart back. What is going on here? Hello, police? I mean, I don't know. It's like, do we have, like, golf cart insurance? What is going on here? So, this was fine. It wasn't anything bad. It sounds like I'm really down on this show, and actually, no, realistically, it was a fine go-home show as it was. Shayna with Nia versus Bianca. Nia leaves eventually. Natty and Tamina show up, and I like Natty, but Tamina, a snooka near some women, make sure to take the elevator. I think that they're probably going to try to go for the tag title, so it's not going to be Bianca and Sasha winning. Edge versus Jay. Winner is a special guest enforcer at Fastlane. Edge, it's first SmackDown match in 10 years. Brian joins commentary. Ray targets the ribs and shoulder focus by Edge. And then we get a Hurricanrana off the top for 2. Please, Edge, you have a bad neck. I don't care how good you feel. Please don't do something like that at your age with your mileage. But you know what? Hey, it's his career. If he's once go out like this, that's fine. Splash, but the shoulder. Jay can't get the cover. 1, 2, kick out. Spear for 3. Then Reign shows up and spears Edge. Everybody acts shocked, even though it's an empty building with a bunch of LED screens. You could clearly see the Reigns is coming down. And then Jay ambushes Bryan and spear to Bryan. And no doubt, Roman is going to make sure one of them gets head at the table. Not a bad show, but, it was fine. It was a fine go-home show. Now, Fastlane predictions. Braun versus Shane. It's going to probably be a double count-out in like 2 minutes. They're going to brawl and everything, and Shane's going to try to dive off of something, or Braun's going to put him through something to show how dumb he is or whatever, and then we're going to build to a match at Mania where Shane's going to dive off the pirate ship onto Braun from space. Shane will find a way to do that. Explosive decompression is a bitch. Nakamura versus Rollins. So it's going to be Rollins. I think this match will be good. At least I hope it's better than the match they had at Survivor Series a couple years ago, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I think if you give them about 15 minutes, it should be pretty good. So I think the action in enough of these matches will actually be pretty good, but Fastlane's a pretty throwaway show. Orton versus Alexa. The Fiend will do the lights out thing. He'll do this, he'll do that, and then Alexa will disappear. Orton will throw up black glue or goo or whatever. He'll throw up a black goose that will lay black golden eggs. What am I on about? And that'll be it. And the Fiend will laugh. And not one move will be struck. Not one move. And it shouldn't be, because you can feel however you want about intergender wrestling, but I don't really need to see Alexa get, punted by Orton. Even though, given the fact they both see red, if you know what I mean, I don't think I'd be upset with either of them being off of television for a bit. But, yeah, the Fiend's going to do the weird lights-out spoopy stuff, and then him and Alexa are going to be, I don't know, on a goddamn cloud. It's going to be like a Lakitu cloud, and then they're going to throw a spiky ball down there, and that's going to get into Orton's system and cause him to throw up black glue. That's what I'll go with, a Lakitu throwing a goddamn spike ball. Why not? This feud has meant shit to me before, all till now, so why not, just say that. It's to me, Orton. So, Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, no holds barred. Okay, Drew gets a shot at Lashley. So unless they want to suddenly just go, with a tie and have Sheamus join to make it the second weirdest Oreo that I've seen on the internet. You don't want to know about the first. It's a double stuff. Anyway, it's going to be Drew. Drew's going to win. It's probably going to be, make it at least better than the match they had where they had that stare down and that goofy bump that Drew took over the barricade. It was really weird. Have Drew get the victory. And I wouldn't be against Sheamus, maybe being put into the match, but I think that you just need to do Drew versus Lashley straight up, and I'd say have Lashley win. But I'll talk about that when I get to the Mania predictions. So, a Big E versus Apollo for the Intercontinental Championship. Unless they really want to have Apollo win here, this is what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to go with a match for about 10 to 12 minutes. They're going to do a double countout. They're going to brawl. They're going to do all this stuff. They're going to try to rehash what they did on Smackdown, and it's going to lead to a match at Mania where Apollo will win. And Apollo will get his big moment in front of a crowd, as he should, because Apollo has been killing it with this character. And do you guys, as somebody who is not white, anybody who is not white, who's a minority, please let me know if you find this character offensive, because it's not up for me to say that. I don't. I actually like what they're doing with Apollo. I just hope they go with it. But I think they're going to hold off on the title change until Mania without having Apollo get beaten, or Big E get beat, obviously, because otherwise Big E would lose. And then we get Shayna and Nia, Superior Immune System versus Sasha and Bianca, Women's Tag Titles. Reginald, I think, is there. It's going to be Shayna and Nia because you have to have somebody else beat them. Do not have Bianca and Sasha as champions, tag champions facing off for the SmackDown Women's Championship, even though the tag titles don't mean anything. Have Nia and Shayna win somehow or win by DQ. And then you just build, hopefully better than you have, to Sasha versus Bianca. Roman versus Bryan, Universal title. Edge is the enforcer. Roman's going to win, but I think Bryan's getting put into that match, and we're getting a three-way. So it's going to be really, really weird. It's where Roman really could get head at the table from two different guys. It's going to be Roman winning, but I think it's going to end up being a three-way. Edge is going to spear him afterwards, and Bryan's going to be kept strong, and they're going to do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.